What up, though? We're gonna slide into another real talk, and this is gonna be a special one. Well, they're all special, but this one's gonna be a special one because I'm about to talk about some things personally, right? And it's because I've been feeling this certain way for a while now, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm the only one feeling this way, or if other people I know, especially men of a certain age, are kind of dealing with this thing as we get older. It's kind of a weird situation that I've been going through. So let's get into it, right? I've told you before many times, right? I'm Gen X, and Gen X was raised a certain way, right? We were raised um, basically being taught that no one gave a damn about our feelings, or what we had to say. And that's not a slight against my mother, right? Or the people that raised me. It's they raised me the way that they were raised, right? And that's what they knew. So I come into this world and I'm taught to not express emotion. So when you're taught to not express emotion, at some point you stop recognizing the emotions that you feel. Right? And you learn to suppress them. Right? We talked about it in an earlier real talk when I said the only emotion I understood was anger and happiness. And happiness, I didn't really understand. I just assumed if I wasn't angry, that I was happy. And that anger was not an emotion, it was just a reaction. And so the emotions I was actually feeling, I was filtering through anger, right? Whatever that emotion was, my reaction was anger, unless that emotion was, supposed to be happiness. So when you live your entire life filtering all of your emotions through that, what effect does it have on you when you become a man of a certain age? And a strange thing started happening to me probably about 3 or 4 years ago, right? And I'm asking this question because I want to know if other men of this certain age are starting to feel this. And women, if you have a husband or a significant other in your life that's a male, ask this question because I want to know the answer. I want to know if I'm the only one, right? Because I want to make sure, if there's something wrong with me, I get help, right? But I have a sneaking suspicion I'm not the only one. So I think that my whole life, what I did was I took all of my emotions, right? And I think I kind of stuffed them inside, right? Almost like pushed them into a tank, right? And that tank had a certain capacity, right? It could take all of the emotions that I had about things that happened in my life uh, and could contain them, right? So as a young man, like you could be in a relationship with a young lady and things go bad and she breaks your heart, but you can't show that, you can't express that because there's no one to express that to. I can remember the first time I got my heart broken by a girl. I must have been maybe 14 years old. And I think I wanted to cry, but I couldn't, you know, especially because, if I can give you the scenario, it was this girl I really liked. We're calling ourselves girlfriend, boyfriend in junior high school. And I used to walk to her house every morning to pick her up, and we would walk to the bus stop. So one morning I walked to her house to pick her up, and she opened the door, and out of the blue, she said she wanted to break up with me and that it was over. So here I am walking to the bus stop by myself, and I really wanted to cry and I really wanted to let it out, but by that point in time, I didn't know how to. Right. So I think I took that and I stuffed that emotion inside. Right. And that experience actually affected me later on in my relationships with women. Right. I think it made me untrusting. Um, Simply because I started to feel in some way when things were going too well. Now I'm waiting on the other shoe to drop, right? And she's going to just suddenly say one day she doesn't want to be with me, right? And I think as a result of that, right, became the kind of person that was always ready to walk away. Right? But these emotional things that happened to me as a kid, right? Uh, the death of my great grandmother had a large, huge impact on me. Right? I didn't realize how much of an impact it had on me until about a year ago, uh, when I actually sat and thought about the things that were said to me and the things that happened around me when my great grandmother passed away, and I realized that it had affected the rest of my life. But I didn't know that, until a year ago, and all these emotions that I was having, I was just pushing down into this tank, right? Every little thing that's happened that I didn't have an emotional response for, right? Because if I couldn't just get angry about it, I had to put it away in a tank. If I couldn't just be happy about it, I had to put it away in a tank, right? So all of this stuff went into that tank, right? And it's filling this tank up, right? And I'm doing pretty good. I think I had a pretty big uh emotional baggage tank. I guess that's what I would call it, the emotional baggage tank. Or the emotions I was afraid to feel tank. I could keep filling it up, keep filling it up, keep filling it up. And I think as I got older, the tank would start to crack and leak. And the way I dealt with the cracks and leaks in the tank was self-medicating, right? You come home from work, you've experienced all this stuff at work and probably all of these emotions that you've put into the tank, and the tank is leaking. So you grab a beer, you grab a adult beverage of your choice, and that becomes like a flex seal, right? To seal up the crack of that tank and the emotion doesn't come out. I think back on it, and there was a time in my career where I was dealing with so much at work every day that I would literally come in the door, go into my man cave, sit down in my chair, turn on the TV, pour myself a drink, and hardly interact with my family. And I think that was because I didn't want the emotions to spill out of the tank before I could get some some Flex Seal on that thing. So as I've gotten older, I think I'm having a harder time keeping the tank from leaking when I don't want it to. And here's where I have the question, right? Because this weird thing happens to me every so often, right? And it never really happens in public, but it happens when I'm alone, right? Sometimes I can be watching TV and it's not something that's super emotional or super in depth, but I'll see something in a movie or a TV show and it'll remind me of something that happened in my life. And I feel that choked up in the bottom of your throat, eyes burning, you're about to cry feeling. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why do I feel like I'm about to cry from something that's happened in the episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit, right? Why do I feel like I'm choked up, watching some movie, right, or something, and thinking about something that happened in my life that when it happened, I wasn't choked up or feeling anything emotionally about it. Now that I think about it, it's almost like those emotions that I killed when it happened are ghosts coming back to haunt me now. And they come back at random. This is gonna sound strange, right? But I know women go through a change in their life, right? They call it the change. Do men go through the same change? I mean, yeah, I don't have a uterus. I don't ovulate, right? But I would assume that another part of a woman going through the change is gonna be, chemical changes in the brain. And if a woman goes through chemical changes in the brain, then doesn't a man go through chemical changes in the brain? Do we evolve into something else? I just wanted to put that out there and ask if I was the only person or only man that kind of suddenly at a certain age, right? I have these emotions, right? And these feelings that come out of the blue. I have no idea where they're coming from. I would have to be honest with myself, just flat out thinking about it the way I've been thinking about it, right? If you push everything into a tank, at some point, you know, that tank is going to crack and leak, and all of that stuff is going to come out. One of the things that I've been trying to do, and this is going to sound super weird, is I'm trying to teach myself how to cry. If you've never experienced this, if you've never lived the way I lived, I can feel it like in my throat and my eyes that I want to cry, but it just won't come out. So what I've been doing to kind of train myself to do it is like sometimes I'll watch really sad YouTube videos to try to get me to that point where I can kind of cry. And I want to be able to do it like when those situations happen or upset me, I want to be able to cry. I just don't know how. I know that sounds weird. So when you deal with a man of a certain age, right? I want you to understand that. Apologize about that. I want you to understand that when you think that we don't care about something, it's not that we don't care. We just don't know how to show it, right? I know it sounds dumb that I'm 46 years old and I don't know how to cry. I should have figured that out, when I was 3 or 4 years old, but I don't. But I could be crazy, it could just be me. And that's why I'm putting this out there, right? I'm putting some vulnerability out there into the world because I want to know if I'm the only one that's having this issue where it's like I feel this emotion, I want to let this emotion out, but because for so long I've held it in, right? Um, I don't know how to express it, and I want to learn how to express it. So, do I have to teach myself how to cry? So take your time, think about this. Tell me what you think. I'm gonna be away from the real talk for like a day or two. Got to get on a plane. Got to fly this cat home. I'm nervous. I'm real nervous. I'm nervous for her. Nervous for me. I've never traveled with an animal on a plane before. I got a million and one, fears. How long are we going to be in the air and everything else. Uh, but I'm going to go ahead and end this one with same things I always say. I'm just saying, fuck out of here. Holla at your boy.